Welcome to Underground Wealth Secrets, hosted by Julie Houston on behalf of Bob and Ed Diamond. This is your friendly guide on leveling up your business, achieving financial freedom, and changing people's lives. This is for serious players who want to surpass their current stage and move the needle further. Tune in to get practical advice and eye-opening stories of industry leaders across the nation, teaching you how to scale your business with a strong financial mindset and true to your core values. Let's get this discussion started with your one and only host, Julie Houston.
I'm so excited to have you here, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're an incredibly busy man to meet with me today. So why don't you tell, I guess, our viewers a little bit about who you are and your background?
Well, I've been a marketing and advertising guy since 1984 when I started my first business, Richard Roop Marketing and Advertising. Okay. I was in the Air Force. It was when the Macintosh came out in 1984, and I got a contract on base for creating flyers and ads and calendars and stuff as a graphic artist. Then I created the military discount coupon book, which was cooperative advertising. So I made money selling ads to people in Fairbanks, Alaska, where I was stationed in Alaska. And then I just got into entrepreneurship. I started studying success, all the old time classics and, audio tapes, and buying programs and reading books. I always say that I kind of have an MBA, Julie. I have an MBA in direct response marketing, entrepreneurship, and creative real estate. MBA stands for mentors, books, and audio cassettes. So I've never been to college or anything like that. So when I got out of the Air Force, my wife got stationed in Hawaii. I met her there when I was in the Air Force. I became I became an investment broker in 1987, where they had the big market crash Black Monday, and I was actually the number one broker because I was telling everybody to short the market, sell the market, don't get into the market. But I didn't like that. I had a guy come in, my former business partner, Dr. Tad James. It's now called NLP.com. So we taught neuro-linguistic programming. I created books, tapes, and audio cassette programs for his stuff. And that's where I learned marketing, and I built that business. Then I became a marketing consultant for all types of businesses. Then I got into real estate in 1996 and bought over 500 houses with none of my own money. And now I'm kind of known as the marketing consultant for real estate entrepreneurs. And I work with all types of businesses, virtualpreneurship, entrepreneurship, infopreneurship, that type of thing.
I've heard about you. You've been through decades and decades with many people in our industry. Gosh, almost 40 years.
It's like,
you believe that?
It's wonderful to see all my old buddies from over the decades, and then all the new up and rising stars. And I work with both of them, and I collaborate, and we go out and, go to events and stuff and do stuff together. And so now this time in my life, I like just focusing on exactly what I want to do both, use my talents the best I can. So that could be promoting myself, or what I really like is helping other people grow and promote their business, or grow and promote themselves. And I'm kind of an expert at that. I've created hundreds of products, built multi-million-dollar companies. And so I just like.
Never went to college.
No, I that's why I joined the Air Force. Because they said they would put me through college.
And that's why I joined the military too.
But then I learned entrepreneurship. I learned you don't get rich, working for other people. You got to have your own business. You got to have, and there's actually 4 levels of entrepreneurship. There's level 1 where you're just learning. You're in school. It's like the doctor going to medical school. He's not making any money until he starts cutting people open. Okay.
Yeah.
So level 1 is you're getting ready, you're getting set up, you're trained, but you're not making any money. So a lot of people are actually sometimes stuck at level 1. In my business, we call them seminar grads. They learn, and they don't take any action. Level 2 is where you make money. That's marketing and sales. So you want to get really good at marketing, sales, persuasion, influence, customer service, helping people, just focus in on helping people. Right. And that's what, to me, business is all about is getting paid for providing value to the marketplace. It's like, so what can you do for other people? Right. So level 2, there seems to be some type of limit on how much money you can make without a team, without a real business. Because if you're doing everything yourself, you're in a profession. You're self-employed, but your time, you have to make more, spend more time. So usually people cap out about 250,000, on their own. But if you really want to build wealth for the future, you want equity in real estate or equity in businesses or any type of income producing assets. So I think you should build a business that can actually operate without you. And the way to do that is level 3. That's systems, outsourcing, delegation, and automation. That's SODA. SODA. Systems, outsourcing, delegation, automation. That's where a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to give up that control.
I'm in that right now.
We all got. I'm always in that.
I'm in that moment right now.
I know. The best thing to do is to notice that. Notice that you want that to be different, that you're limiting yourself because you're trying to control everything. You're trying to do everything yourself, right? We all go through that, right? And you can pull out of it. And I've never pulled completely out of it. I'm a control freak.
You read my mind. I was like, that's me.
No, because I work with all types of entrepreneurs, and usually they're successful. Okay. Because I don't really go out and teach people how to become entrepreneurs. I go out and find people that, are already, that are looking to try and fix these levels, right? So they're at level 1, school, right? Level 2 is marketing and systems. So that's where you really get things happening, right? And you can scale that. But level 3 is scaling. We call that level 3 business mastery, where you have a business, you build a business that can operate and produce money without you, where you don't have to be there doing everything, right? You just manage the business. So you can have multiple businesses. You can own multiple businesses, but you're not, cooking the fries or doing all the work.
Minutia. Yeah.
That's like Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant.
I remember that.
Yeah. You're either employed, right, where you have a job and you're limited. Then you're self-employed. You have that profession, right? You're limited. But then you have a business where you actually can build it and produce income without work that you do. And then investment, right? Investing. That's what we talked about this earlier, Julie. The secret of creating your financial future, right?
Yes.
What is the biggest thing that everybody wants? Financial freedom. Right? So
I have a question. I don't mean to cut you off. What would your definition of financial freedom be?
And by the way, that's level 4.
Oh, okay.
All right. Level 4 is financial freedom. Okay. So financial freedom is that you have assets that are producing all of the income that you need to live your preferred lifestyle. So you can work whether you want to or not. That's it. It's that simple. I created a program with Coach Willie Hooks, who helped me build my coaching program for real estate investors. And he's just a great guy. He's a great friend. And he's just amazing. Okay. I created a program with him called $1 Million Mindstorming, the secret of creating your financial future. Right. So what we did is we had everybody, and these were like my high level clients, right? We spent a weekend at the Cheyenne Mountain Resort in Colorado. And we did this just once. We got everybody really clear on the definition of financial freedom. What did it mean to them? Not only did we create a definition like I just gave you, you have all these assets that produce all the money you need so you don't have to work, right? You can live your preferred lifestyle. I think, and you don't have to wait to live your preferred lifestyle. You can create your preferred lifestyle now. The biggest thing is deciding what it looks like, that vision, right? So the secret of creating your future, the first step is creating that goal, creating that vision, right? So we had everybody step out 2 or 3 years or 5 years and take a look at what living their preferred lifestyle and what being financial free meant, then we actually had them put a dollar number on it. So I had them do an exercise. This is called $1 billion Mindstorming. I had them do an exercise where they listed all of the things they wanted to own, all the things they wanted to do, all the things they wanted to have. And we figured out how much that would cost, either to rent it, to own it, or just do it. And we came up with an income each month to live their preferred lifestyle. Then we reversed that back. Okay, how many assets at this rate of return do you need to produce that? So it's very systematic. So most people, Julie, they say, I want to be financially free. I want to be financially secure, but it's not, it's just an idea. So if you decide, hey, if I had $5 million producing 10%, that's $50,000 a month or whatever, or $500,000 a year, right? That's if that's what I need, then you need 5 million and you need a way to get 10%, or you need 10 million and get 5%, right? So coming up with that dollar number. Now, if you know why that's important to you, why you're going after the money, and you focus on that as a goal with a deadline, now you'll have an organic motivation to actually do what you know you need to do to hit that goal, to hit that outcome.
Yes.
I call that the 5-step formula for success, where number one, you set a goal, right? So it could be a short-term goal, long-term goal, but the goal has to be smart. We can talk about that. Then you make your plan. Now, everybody does this backwards, Julie. They try and figure out how they're going to do something before they're really clear on what they're doing and why. So they're working on their plan, they're creating their products, they're creating their business, but they don't know how much money they're going to make and when, or why they're doing this. They just get busy. So if you start with the end in mind, then, and get really in touch with why it's important to you, how it's going to benefit you, and what are the consequences for not achieving that, right? You want to kind of get that both sides of the motivation there. Once you're really clear and it's really important to you, then create your plan. Because people don't set outrageous, amazing goals. They limit themselves from their thinking, their beliefs about what they've done in the past or what they think it requires to get there, right? But if you just set those aside, create the perfect vision. So, Julie, like, what's the perfect situation in your life 2 years from now? What would be ideal? So I'd have you go out and imagine that, right? And just create that perfect scenario. And if it's unbelievable, if it's too outrageous, if you don't think you could really achieve that, then what I tell people do is just notch it down a little bit. Okay. I call that the next best thing. Okay. So just notch it down to, oh, that would be amazing. And I actually believe it. Right. Now you can change your beliefs and go much higher, but you can do that over time. Right. So just create something that would excite you, that you're committed to, that you'd love to have happen, commit to it. Because if it's really important to you, you should set it as a goal. And I don't think you should set any goals that you're not committed to.
I would agree.
And people beat themselves up all the time with that. They say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and they just don't do it. It's kind of a dream. It's a notion, right?
Yes.
So a goal is a dream with a deadline. So in order for a goal to be smart, it has to be specific and measurable. So really specific. You have to be able to measure its success. It should be achievable, right? And relevant, okay, to what's important to you. And then timed. It has to have a deadline, right? So those are some kind of the elements of a SMART goal. But people limit themselves and they don't have written goals. But sometimes when you set if you're promoting an event and there's a deadline, right? Notice, or you're going on vacation and you're leaving in 2 weeks. Guess how much stuff you get done because you're committed.
I know. That is so true.
It works on everything.
So true.
So when you're working by yourself, who's holding you accountable? That's why it's nice to have a team or a mastermind or accountability partner, right? That you can commit. You say, I'm going to do this, and they'll hold you accountable. That's why coaching is good. If you have a coach that holds you accountable or a mentor. So so that you want to have a SMART goal. So step number one, set a goal, then make your plan. Then once you know what you're looking for, you can figure out how to do it, and you can get the help you need. And you might have all these opportunities that you didn't even see right in front of you because you never set that goal. By setting the goal, it turns on your reticular activating system, and you start becoming aware of these opportunities and these things that would help you. It's like you're creating this. You are actually creating your future. Yes. When I tell you to go out in 2 years from now and imagine what's happening, I'm suggesting that you go out in your mind and create a future memory, because your mind doesn't know the difference between a thought. If you step into your body and look through your own eyes and feel what it would be like to achieve that goal, and what would you say, what would you see, what would you hear? If you fully associated with that type of mental imagery, your mind doesn't know that it feels like it's now, right? So it doesn't know the difference between something in the future or something in the past until you step out of it. So what I'm suggesting is you're actually creating future memories. When you do that, we have some techniques, these creating your future techniques, where you can actually notice if there's any obstacles or roadblocks or anything that pops up for you. When you set this goal, have you ever set a goal and said, I'm not going to do that because of this, that, and the other, right? Mm-hmm. Those things pop. So you can decide to change your goal or go ahead and knocking out those obstacles part of your plan. So set the goal, make the plan, then lay out the milestones and the tasks and put it into your schedule. So work your plan. Set a goal, make a plan, then work your plan. And really work your plan. Get all of those things that have to happen of your plan into your schedule. And Coach Willie Hooks told me, don't think during the week. You just look at your schedule. You have all of these things you've already decided in advance that you want to accomplish on these days, and just knock them out. And it's stuff you've already decided you want to do.
Yes.
All right.
You make it sound so simple.
It is. It's this simple.
It is that simple.
It's very formulaic. It's very systematic. I teach this whenever I do I sit down with a consulting client, or I do a seminar or a program or create a product. I always start with this 5-step sales process, because it's like, what's the outcome for our meeting? What's the outcome for this seminar? What's the outcome for this project? Right? So we go through this. So step number 3 is work your plan. Just work, execute, take action. If you set up the first 2 correctly, that will be just easy and natural. Set a goal, make a plan, work your plan your work, and then work your plan. So step number 4 is that execution, that taking action.
Okay.
All right. And then step number 5 is you'll get feedback. You won't be on target all the time, but if you stay focused on the end result and you don't forget about it, right, then you can just adjust, and with that feedback along the way, and you'll hit 90% of your goals if you just follow that process and then adjust and pivot. You know anybody who had to pivot a couple years ago in their business?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, okay, I tell people that, you shouldn't allow outside forces dictate what you do, because you have the ability to respond. You have the ability to change what you're doing to adjust. So like when you set a goal, if I'm going to drive my car to the next city, I might hit, some roadblocks, some potholes, some detours, right? But no, I'll get there. It's just maybe not how I plan. That is why the number one secret of creating your future, your financial future, is to get really clear on your intention behind and setting the goal. Okay. And I'll be happy to share some resources with your audience, related to it. I have some programs, some videos that will walk you right through this process. And I have one that gets you really clear with your big why. Right. And
that would be fantastic.
And I share it with all my clients when I start working with them and all that. So it's a great tool. I'll be happy to share that. And
thank you. I think we actually got a link already for that, that we'll be using, undergroundwealthsecrets.net/Roop, ROOP.
As in poop, like Roop as in poop. That'd be great. Yeah, I'll be happy to share that. All right. So the secret of creating your future. So the other thing that we did, and I published this book for my partner, Dr. Tad James, when I helped build his company from like 1988 to 1994 when I lived in Hawaii. That's how I became a marketing expert, because studying the marketing gurus like Dan Kennedy and all these gurus that taught all the other gurus. And I'm kind of one of those marketing gurus. And now I create little marketing gurus. So
you are one of the gurus, one of the original gurus.
So in building his business, the secret of creating your future, I helped him create that product. I published his book, The Secret of Creating Your Future. We had a 2-day seminar that we did. Then I got it. We created a home study, and I got an infomercial with some celebrities and everybody. And we sold 35,000 of these home study courses on TV with infomercials. But it's a very powerful program. And that process is kind of some of the stuff that we're talking about and a lot of other stuff. But the things that prevent people from achieving their goals is sometimes negative emotions. So we would walk through people processes so they could let go of fear, anger, guilt, hurt. All right. And so these are like emotions from the past. And so using some of these visualization strategies, these NLP strategies, you could actually quickly let that stuff go and learn from those things. The only reason you don't let them go is because your mind thinks you haven't learned from them yet. And in most cases, you've already learned. If you have ever had things come up, it's your mind trying to protect you. But a lot of times you're so much more mature and you just don't realize it. And once you realize it, become conscious of it, it just disappears. In fact, I've created a program called the Fearless Investor, where I interviewed all my clients back in the day to find out what they were afraid of. And I got a list of 52 things that people were afraid of in their.
Really?
Yeah. And so I put it into 7 different categories. And then I said, this is how you, knock out the fear of success, the fear of failure, all the 7 different categories of fears.
How interesting.
But fear is, it does protect you. So it's really unjustified fear, right? And so it's like one of the easiest kind of what I call sledgehammer technique is just, if you have something that you're afraid of, that you're concerned about, right? If there's anything that you should be doing that you're not doing, just call it fear. Okay. All right. And then analyze it. What's the worst that can happen if I do this? Right? What are the consequences? What am I going to lose if I don't? Right? So if you analyze fears that are holding you back, if you notice them and analyze them, typically they disappear because it's more of an automatic response, an unconscious response versus a real fear. So it's like, why don't you want to pick up the phone and call that prospect? Right? They're afraid of being rejected. See, that's one of the, categories, fear of rejection, right?
Fear of rejection, failure.
Yeah. Fear of failure, fear of success. Yeah. I'd have to look up everything.
I would love to see that one day. How cool of a report to do. With most of the clients that you work with, how do you focus on the growth and the prosperity during uncertain times, for example?
Okay, so it comes down to being able to be realistic. Okay, so some people, a couple years ago, I said, I work with a lot of real estate investors, and the real estate market changed a lot. And I was telling everybody, look, with everything that just happened with people's businesses getting shut down and people losing their jobs and all these other things that happen, the ripple effect, it's going to last a long time. In fact, my family business, my mom has had a foot jewelry business in Laguna Beach at the Laguna Village for 30 years. And they had to shut down because it's a bunch of handcrafters around a restaurant. And they had to shut down the restaurant, put her out of business forever. All right. And there's a lot of those little stories like that have a ripple effect. And so I told everybody a couple of years ago, you got to start preparing. You got to become an entrepreneur. You got to start controlling, not relying on the government, not relying on an employer, things that are kind of outside your control. So take control where you can. And then those things that you can't control, don't worry about it. All right. So I have a little graphic. It says like, do you have a problem? Yes. Can you do anything about it? No. Well, don't worry about it. Do you have a problem?
I love it.
Do you have a problem? Yes.
I love it.
Can you do something about it? No. Well, don't worry about it. It all goes back to don't worry about it, whether you have a problem or not, right? Whether you can do something about it or not, right? Because if you can do something, you do something. If you can't, you can't. So worry is like that negative goal setting. It's like you're envisioning things that you don't want to have happen. You want to focus on what you want, what you do want to happen, right? So I told everybody that, hey, you need to, decide how you're going to maintain control over your life and decide what you want and pivot a little bit and stuff like that. And so now, going forward, it's the same thing. Your success can't be dictated by those outside forces. So if you see it coming down, if you see a storm coming, go ahead and take shelter, right? But, you don't give up, if you're doing something important, right? So
absolutely.
I think, so it's what I call accountability, like there's a victim loop that people can fall into where they say, I would be successful except for this or except for this, right? And it's outside of them. So in The Secret of Creating Your Future, we teach people how to be 100% responsible for everything that happens to you, whether it's true or not. It's just a useful belief, because if you take 100% responsibility for all of the results that happen to you, Julie, then you have the ability to adjust and change and get and respond differently to get different results. You have that responsibility. You have that ability to respond. People don't consciously exercise it. So hopefully after people listen to this or maybe listen to it again and start developing a habit of noticing things that they want to change or how they're reacting and all that, because you have this incredible power if you wake up, and if you have, it's called consciousness, right? You kind of wake up and you become aware, as opposed to just going through 95% of our actions are habitual, just unconscious. It's just how we're programmed, right? You can change that programming and you can do it consciously. That's what we did with that Secret of Creating Your Financial Future 2-day, is we walked them through those processes so that you can and show people how to consciously change whatever they want in their life. So in the tough times, if there's something that you don't like or something that's concerned, go ahead and decide, how do you want it to be different? What's the ideal situation? What's the perfect scenario, right? And make it a smart goal and then work on it.
You make it seem so easy.
You know what? When I first learned this, when I lived in Hawaii, I did really well buying a couple properties using my VA loan. That was how I bought money. My first no money down property, it was a $79,000 brand new townhouse overlooking the ocean in Hawaii for $79,000. This was like in
Wow.
87. Then a year later, my business was doing good. So we used my wife, Cindy, her VA, and we bought another brand new townhome, same area, for $123,000, no money down. Those are my first two no money down properties, because I was listening to some of those audios on real estate at the time, but I wasn't having any success at it. And I didn't really get into it until like 96. But then a year later, this was when the Japanese were having their housing bubble.
Mm-hmm.
A year later, so we bought the first one. A year later, we bought the second one. So I rented that first one out for a year. So after 2 years, I sold both of them. I was doing really well. I sold both of them. Sold the first one, bought for $79 for $179. It over doubled in value in 2 years.
Wow.
The other one I bought for $123 was $203. So if you have any properties that have skyrocketed, and if you think it's bubblish, this might be a good time to tap into that. I don't know. It depends, right? It's like hold forever or go ahead and cash out, right? Redeploy the money. So I took that money, all this, I made more money on those two deals than all the, many years of working, right?
Uh-huh.
I took that money and I found a lot where they were building these luxury homes a little further up the hill where we live. Brand new subdivision, overlooking this gorge and the ocean and everything, like a 4,000 square foot house. Like, I think I bought it like 410,000 or something like that. So I put that money down, borrowed money on that, and bought that house. And then the market turned, and I kind of finished up my project with Tad, and my son was born, and I wanted to move to the mainland, be closer to family, grandparents and all that, because it was a long flight. So I was going to be going to the mainland, and I saw all my wealth. I saw that market was going to go down. I read a book, How to Sell Your Home in 5 Days. I put my marketing expertise into the whole process, and I sold it in 9 days, not just running a little classified ad and having a bid process one weekend. I did direct mail. I did all types of things, advertorial.
Wow.
All right. I had 60 people come to my open house for 2 days and bid up the price of the house. I said, it's going to be sold for the highest reasonable offer this weekend. And I said, highest reasonable offer, right? But no homes in my neighborhood had sold for more than 400,000 in the past year. And I had been there for like 3 or 4 years. But I was able to sell it that weekend for over 400,000, more than any other house, using kind of a creative approach. And then a year later, that house was worth 320.
Wow. And that was a lot of money back then.
Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah. Don't we tend to spend all the money we make? Doesn't our outgo kind of expand with our income? That's a big lesson that I learned. If I left everybody with one tip, especially someone asked me the other day on an interview, Julie, if you could go back and talk to your previous self, what would you want to have known or done? And I would have saved 5% of every big check that I collected. So if I got $3,000, okay, so I'd put $150 in savings, right? If I got a $30,000 check, I'd put $1,500 in savings. You won't miss that 5%. You won't even miss it. $100,000 check, you put 5,000 away, you got 95, right? So if you put 5% of every big check and you just put that away and never touch it, and just keep it safe or whatever, but never spend it, you'll be financially free faster than you can imagine. And of course, if I did that all my entire life, imagine that.
Imagine.
But it can make a big difference. You have a lot of income and outgo in your life, in your business.
Yeah.
In a couple of years, that can make a really big difference. The biggest key is if you need money because you have an emergency, don't spend it. If you didn't have it, you would have to go out and get that money. We'll go out and get that money. Find it. Do it. Do what you have to do. But don't touch that. So that would be a good kind of tip.
Love that. Good tip. I really like that. How can folks start creating their businesses exactly how they want to? I know you briefly went over it earlier, but is it basically following the 4-step module?
Yeah, the 5-step formula for success is, set a goal, make a plan your work your plan, get feedback and adjust. Okay. The first step, setting a goal, is where people mess up. Okay. They don't know what they want. They haven't decided what they want, or they're unfocused. They're chasing too many tails. You got to decide what's most important to you in your life, in your financial life, your personal life, your life, right? This is your life. This is not rehearsal. This is it.
Yeah.
So you might as well have a good time doing what you want.
It's the real ride.
You can change anything you want. You have to decide what you want to change and decide, if you have a problem, what would it look like if you didn't have the problem, right? Focusing on, that law of attraction, focus on what you want, right? So set that goal, make it smart. Okay. And again, we got some resources for the folks that will help walk people through that. But I would say that the biggest challenge is they don't decide what they want. People are afraid to set a goal because they're afraid they're going to, fail, that they're not going to do it. They're going to disappoint themselves again or someone else. Right. Well, again, that's because they haven't spent the time to figure out why they want that particular goal or why it's important to them. I have a buddy who told me I went through this $1 billion mindstorming process with him. He said he wanted to make $100 million. And so I asked him, I said, that's great. And so we could walk through that process that I laid out earlier. Okay, how many assets, do you need that much, right? How much do you need to live your preferred lifestyle? So for him, it was just like a challenge, right? So he said he wanted $100 million because I quizzed him on it. And I said, well, would you be just as happy with, could you live your preferred lifestyle with 50 million? And he said, well, yeah, I could do 50 million. Then why set a goal for 100 million when you'd be just as happy with 50?
Right?
And it's like, okay, what about 25 million? Right? So you can drill down to something that is going to change your life, but is actually much easier to achieve.
Yes.
We do a lot of coaching with entrepreneurs, and when they set goals that are out, what we think are unrealistic, it's totally realistic if they're committed to it and it's important to them. But we look at their history. Hey, I want to make $1 million this year. How much did you make last year? $30,000. Okay. All right. So why is making $1 million important? I just want to do it. Okay. So you made 30 last year. What if you made 200,000 this year? Would that change your life? Would that make a difference? Yeah, that would be a huge difference. Well, go after the 200 first versus the million. If that, so some people push themselves too far and they set themselves up for not achieving it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I want to thank you, Richard, for joining us today. You shared an incredible amount of value. Again, we're going to have a link for our viewers, undergroundwealthsecrets.net/Roop, ROOP.
As in poop.
As in poop, apparently. Richard, any final words for our viewers today?
No, thank you. As you can tell, I love to share. And you got me talking about something that I'm really passionate about, which is, personal success and mindset. And I just think, I like to share this. This is a great way to share it because no one will pay me for this information, but it's great stuff when they hear it. What I mean?
It's been an honor having you on and hearing it myself.
All right. Everybody just wants me, show me how to make money. Okay. Marketing and sales, but got to start with that vision, right? All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Underground Wealth Secrets. May these nuggets of wisdom lead you to finally discovering your true potential. Become one of the most reliable businesses out there that's dedicated both to filling up your bank accounts and leaving a positive impact on your community. Get more informative and engaging conversations like this one at undergroundwealthsecrets.net. Don't forget to leave a positive rating and share with your friends. That's all for now. Until next time.